Good afternoon, sports fans. Well, today we're heading north up the eastern coast. We'll make a couple of stops here on the way, but this is more than a day trip. This is more like a 5-day trip, maybe even 6. And well, not sure where we're going to end up, but we'll see you down the road. Well, if you haven't guessed by now, I might as well just tell you. We are in Savannah, Georgia. This is a Friday afternoon, about 3 o'clock, and we're staying at the Planters Inn. Very beautiful, rustic hotel. One of the older ones in the city. This is a room, give you an idea. Now I like these kind of rooms. They have character and they're beautiful. Look at that bed. 4 corner posts. Beautiful. And one of the best parts is right here. Just step outside on your balcony with a glass of fine wine and enjoy the view of the city. Doesn't get any better than this. Plus, there are only 2 rooms in this hotel that have a balcony, and we've got one of them. That's a tour going on down there in the park. I should say the square. Good look at the Planters Inn from the outside, and there's our room. Trinity Square. There were originally 24 squares in the city. There are only 22 now. We took a walk here down to the river. Most of these buildings along the river had something to do with the cotton industry. This is where we have dinner. The Chart House. Had to have reservations. And we did.
In terms of entree, I adore the prime rib. It's my go-to every single time. I love it. I like the kimchi calamari for appetizer. Dessert, lava cake is a must-have. It's delicious.
Very interesting place. This is along the river. We stopped down after dinner, look around. We've stayed down here before. A lot of these buildings were cotton warehouses. And they all had something to do with exporting cotton. Or most of them did. Today there are restaurants up and down the area, different shops. Kind of that New Orleans feel. down here along the river. Saturday morning, Savannah, Georgia. We're out looking for a little breakfast this morning. Sure we'll find it. We're not the only ones out here looking. And here it is, right here. That's half a block away and we got it. So, have a little breakfast, then we'll look around the town, see what we can.
But anyway,
First thing we did after breakfast was we went and
they replaced a few of them over the
got on
years,
the
but some of them
trolley,
they just never
the
had
hop
a
on,
reason
hop
to.
off
And
trolley.
if you do planning on going back down the river in your personal vehicle, or you're gonna be walking around down there, y'all, don't worry about them railroad tracks. There's no trains go down the river anymore. There haven't been a train go down the river probably about 40 to 50 years. Now this is Washington
We had a great
Square.
tour
George
guide.
Washington come to visit us one time, and we gave him the square. Now, coming up here on the right, this is Rainbow Road. Now, there's a lot of different stories about why the houses are painted different colors. But the one I like is when the men would go out on the town, they'd paint their houses different colors when they know which one was theirs. You know, when they know where to come home to. And look at these magnolia trees, y'all. That's what that is, a magnolia. Look how bad we need rain. These things, they look terrible. All the leaves are about to burn up on them. But they are blooming out though pretty good. They won't look good. We're about 8 inches down in rain. We're supposed to get some today right there. And this tree right here, I don't have no idea what it is, but it is the fastest growing tree I've ever seen. Them things grow, that tree probably 2 years ago was like that. I ain't kidding you, that's the fastest growing tree I've ever seen.
Now this trolley makes a number of stops and you can jump off at any of the stops.
Now it was made out of indigo, which was a flower. They made ink.
And then
they
you can
made paint,
jump back
they
on.
dyed the clothes with it.
The next time another trolley comes around, and they run about every 10-15 minutes.
They dyed the baby blankets Hank blue. If you was running late on your route or whatever, zip over the square you go. People drove through the squares, parked in the squares. They just didn't nobody care nothing about the history. And they'd already tore down the farmer's market, city market, and they were going to tear down the Davenport house back there, and 7 wonderful women stood up and said, no, you're not. Started the Savannah Historical Foundation, and because of them 7 ladies in that house, we got what we got today. But Isaiah Davenport, he was a master builder, and he come here from Rhode Island to build houses in the late 1700s. He met and married a lady by the house with the yellow fence. That's the smallest house in the historical district. It was built in 1845 by a shipbuilder. He never married, he never had any children, so a lot of people call it the bachelor house. And it's not even 800 square feet. See, it was a tiny house where tiny houses come popular. You know? And Green Square is where General Tecumseh Sherman got every free slave together and promised them 40 acres and a mule. If they had got their 40 acres and a mule, they'd owned all the way from Savannah, Georgia to Jacksonville, Florida. But they never received it. But that's where he made that speech.
Now this is the Andrew Lowe house. The home was built by Andrew Lowe, a young Scottish immigrant who became a successful businessman. He and his wife Mary lived in the home with their children during the turbulent years leading up and during the Civil War. Juliet Lowe, founder of the Girl Scouts, was the Lowe's daughter-in-law and lived in the house for many years. Yes, the Andrew Lowe house, and it is beautiful. And probably one of the most beautifully furnished homes you'll see, all original. Painstaking to find the original wallpaper.
And you will see that word all over Savannah, if you hadn't already. But,
SCAD is for
they
the
bought that, and
Savannah College of Arts and Design. It's a private school in Savannah. Well, they have several campuses around the country, but it's dedicated itself to art and to design in a private, non-profit art school. Yeah, they're in Atlanta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and La Crosse.
He said no rum for Andy's strong spirit. He didn't want his men to get sick. He wanted to keep them healthy when they could work. The other thing was no slaves. He wouldn't let a man own a slave. He said nobody should be too lazy to tend to their own property. And the other thing was no lawyers, no attorneys. Yeah, he said they like to fuss too much. Now, over there on the left, y'all, that's St. John's Cathedral. Now, you can go in and see the cathedral, and it's free of charge. They'll let you take pictures in there, and it's absolutely beautiful. And you can get to the cathedral and stop 14. But when you leave the cathedral, y'all, get back on your trolley and stop 14, okay? Independent, because he didn't want the King of England to have to get his glasses to see his mate. Over here on the left, this is Big Duke the Fire Bell. Big Duke weighs 5,000 pounds. He was named after Hammershire Duke, the fire chief in the 1800s. When there was a fire in one of the squares, he would ring whatever number square the fire was in. Now, can't y'all imagine that heavy thing ringing 24 times? That's how many squares we have in 24. But the bell was actually built, y'all, in Troy, New York. Troy, New York. Now, coming up here on the right, this is the Juliet Gordon Low House. This is where the mother of the Girl Scouts was born. Okay? And this is stop 15, and the next stop is stop Independent Presbyterian Church. Now look at the steeple. That's a high steeple in Savannah. That's where the feathers floated down. At the beginning of Forrest Gump, and that's where the bed sat right there. Over here on the left, this is the marker we have for the Jewish automobile races. And who competed against each other was Henry Ford and Louis Chevrolet. Yeah, neither one of them won. They said the Dodge boys had something to do with it. Yeah. But see, Henry Ford, he had a plantation here. All right, he come down here, Henry Ford, in the early 1900s, and he wanted to get workers and look at your street signs. And that's where you want to come back to. Now, all the stops are not on a corner, but they're close to a corner. Or you can find something you can remember, like a tree, a bush, a building, or something like that. Well, in 1955, the city of Savannah gave two gentlemen a 50-year lease on our beautiful square. They tore our farmer's market down and built a 4-story parking garage. Well, come about 15 years ago, we got our square back and we went up the ground on the park. Underneath it, y'all, there's a parking garage with holes too that they kept moving around close to the railroad. And this is the Telfair Museum. But this used to be the governor's mansion, the Telfair Mansion. Now it's a art museum, a house museum too. And it also holds the famous Bird Girl statue from the book in the movie, The Midnight Star. And this is our new Jepson Art Center. And you see the steps, how they go up on that? They say that why they built it like that is because they used to have the cover all the time. They say that's why they built that new Jepson, so they could have fundraisers for wine and cheese, so they didn't have it in Telfair. Now up here to my front left, y'all, this is the Harper House. Now the Harper House was built in 1875. Now look at the curve. Look at the curve. You see the hitching post? That's where they used to tie up the horses. And the stepping stone is what they used to step up on the horses and carriages. Now, all these houses in here, y'all, were built in the 1800s. And look up here to your right. You see this little bronze plate that says 1872? There's one beside it that says 1873. Well, you can see that's not the address. That's the year that house was built. So if you want to know when a house was built, they usually got that bronze plate right there by the front door. So all them houses are very old, so the brick is old. Another one on the other side of the steps, you can see a little bit better. See, dolphins mean good luck, so they put them on their houses for good luck. Now, if you look back to your left, you'll see a statue of our founder, James Overthorpe. And you can also see our Savannah Theater across the square, which is one of the oldest theaters in North America. We've had a lot of movies filmed here. Tiger Band, General's Daughter, Ford versus Ferrari, Peanut Butter Falcon. Did y'all remember that old movie, Something to Talk About, for Julia Roberts? Over there, The Sixpence. That's where she come out, Herbert Dahmer. They called him eating something with other boys. Dennis Quaid. He was on my trolley one time. Yeah. And I've never mentioned him. I always mentioned Julia Roberts, and he just laughed. But I didn't mention him, yeah. More blueberries than anything else. They started growing them blueberries around the Georgia Florida line probably about 10 years ago, and now they're just going right up the state. And the man up the beach floors, he didn't like it too much. He said, what are we supposed to say? She's as pretty as the Georgia blueberry.
This is one of the places we ate. Very good.
Now over here on the right, the light
And this
building
building here was the
that was one of the very
Ford
first showcases
showroom.
of the Ford automobile. And Henry Ford had a plantation. Right, look over here to your left at the church steeples. Now that's our Catholic church over there, y'all. And when we get around there, that's a must-see right there. It's free of charge. They'll let you take pictures in there. Absolutely beautiful. I like Stop 5 too. That's Forsyth Park where I love the fountain located. And in the center of Madison Square is the statue of Sergeant Jasper. Sergeant Jasper was an American Revolutionary War hero. He got killed in the siege of Savannah in 1779. That's one of my favorite statues. He's been victorious and marched in the city. In that very house in December of 1864, he sent Abraham Lincoln, which was the president at the time, a telegram. I give you 150 guns, 25,000 bales of cotton, and the whole city of Savannah has a Christmas gift. Now, a lot of people would tell you different reasons why he didn't burn Savannah, but the books say it's because of our southern hospitality. Because, see, we knew he was coming way before he got here. So they met him out there at the city limit sign to say, come on in, we've got a house for you. Now that's where Juliet, the mother of the Girl Scouts, spent most of her adult life. And in the carriage house behind the Andrew Lowe house is where the very first girl is Walt Disney come and sing this house. And I think it was in the early 60s, and that's where he got the inspiration for the Haunted Mansion at Disney. Now, this is St. John's Cathedral. Let me see my watch. They probably have a mass right now, y'all. Now, they do welcome guests to services, okay? The only thing is you can't take pictures in there, but you can go in there. Yeah, they're having mass right now. And I'm not going to tell you a story. It won't be over for 45 minutes. But like I say, they do welcome guests to services. You just can't take pictures in there. Now, we have 2 stops for the church. We have 7. Early, and it closed the place. That ever restriction. It closed about Monday morning. But this is where I always remind everybody, don't put no money in the parking meters after 8 o'clock. And on Sunday, after 8 o'clock at night, Monday morning, to announce her plans to wed the following Sunday in church. Well, he refused. So the uncle turned around and sued him for some type of character.
You'll see these cobblestones down here in the historic district along the river. These stones were used for ballast in the ships. When they were coming over and they weren't completely full, they had to steady those ships. And to do that, they needed weight at the bottom of the ship, and they would load them full of these stones. So Savannah said, all right, when you get here and you have to unload them, so you can get your product on, we'll take them and just pave our streets with them. And down here is where we caught the trolley originally, and this is where I believe we get off. Again, this was all warehouse. That ship right there, sail ship, you can hire that for a period of time. I don't know how much it'll cost you, but it would be probably a year's salary for me. You'll find music down here, people playing music round the clock. Riverboat. There's 2 riverboats. You can take on a riverboat tour, and I highly recommend that. But in the evening, you can take the dinner cruise in that boat, and that's the one I would recommend the most. If it's a nice night, take the river cruise. You get good dinner, great views. I'm sure glad they didn't tear down all these beautiful buildings. Made Savannah what it is today. There's the Cotton Exchange. This is a statue of Johnny Mercer. Johnny Mercer was a songwriter, and they built a statue and put him in this square. The square is usually used for on the weekends, so you'll see concerts here, different parties going on. First time we came to town, we got here on a Sunday, and it was big party time down here at this particular square. This was a taco place, Mexican food, very popular with the college crowd. So after that, we took a trip out to Tybee Island. This is a fort. It's huge, by the way. On the other side of the fort is the beach. Okay, I'm at Tybee Island, outside Savannah. And this is the old fort. Right over here. 1899. You can see it runs, and they got the beach. The beach is on the other side of that. And this is all the old fort. So, a lot to look at if you want to go through it all out here. Now, I was through here a couple of years ago and went through all that fort. But this is the lighthouse. We're going to just take a quick look at it. We're going to mosey over there. You know what that means. We're going to move. And then if we do take a look at the fort, it'll be a real quickie going through there. So we'll see you across. Okay, we left the island and we're heading back through Savannah. We're going to cross a big bridge up here. And this big bridge goes across the river. And when we get across it, we'll be in South Carolina. That was Savannah, our first stop on the way north. So what'd you think? A couple things there I can tell you about. First, had a little mishap. Lost part of the footage. I had a card went corrupt in the camera, so a lot of what I shot I lost. But one of my favorite cities in the whole country, Savannah. Now, if you go to Savannah, I recommend that you have at least 2 days. At least 2 days. You can't see everything in a day. You just can't. You probably can't see it in 2 days. I suggest that you get up in the morning, the first morning, and you take a tour, trolley tour, and ride a trolley tour the whole length of the tour. There is one time that they stop and you have to get off the trolley, but you can turn around and get right back on the next one. That stop happens to be a museum, so you can spend some time there too, and then get back on the next trolley and go all the way to the end. Then you have a good idea of what you want to see, where you want to get off the trolley, and where you might want to hop back on it, because it's a hop on and hop off. So it's good. Your pass is good for the whole day. Make sure you save your ticket. You'll have a patch that they put on you. In most of the trolleys, with you got that patch, you can jump right back on. But some of the drivers will require you to show your ticket. So make sure you have your ticket. Now, when you know what you want to see and where it's at, you can get you can take your trolley to that spot and jump off. It's helpful to have a map. The spots are usually on the map. They're numbered, and as you go around, you can mark those places you want to get off and where you want to see, what you want to see. That would be very, very helpful. If you're going on a weekend, you might want to make reservations for some place to eat ahead of time. Sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. So we would recommend the trolley tour. That's definite. You can also go out to see the a plantation. Recommend that. The river boats, and I strongly recommend the dinner cruise on the river boat. You get a dinner, and you get to see everything lit up at night. It's beautiful. The bridge that you see there goes over to South Carolina from Georgia is huge. Very, very high, because the big freighters that come through there have to clear that bridge. Now I heard that they're going to raise that another 10 feet. It's going to be way up there. The Savannah Port, they say they are now the #1 port on the East Coast. That's debatable. They might just be #2 or maybe even 3. But there's a lot of business comes through there. So that's all interesting too. There's tours like the haunted house tours. Recommend those. Take those. Look at all the tours you've got. You're going to want to walk around the city, the market. Go just around the city. It's beautiful, beautiful. But that trolley tour is what's going to orientate the whole city for you. So we recommend that. Now that is the end of our first stop, Savannah. And we're on from here, heading down that road. And we'll take you guys along. Appreciate you coming along. Might want to hit that like button for us. Subscribe, doesn't cost you anything. And you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.